guys, or good afternoon, depending on the time zone you're in. We're going to get started, and the purpose of today's presentation is to help you get started with RStudio. I'm going to share my screen. Most of you guys have installed the RStudio on your laptop or desktop. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the interface. Here's the console window, the window where you're going to type your commands. Here is an environment window. Every time when you declare a variable, or every time when you create a data frame, I'm going to go over it shortly, it's going to list in here. It's sitting in your memory, basically. There is a list of commands that you ran. See what I've been doing recently here. To clear history, you would use the broom icon. And to clear a specific item in the history, you're going to highlight this item and X button. That's from history, and you're going to hit yes to confirm. What you also do is you could just, if you want to rerun the command that's in your history, you're going to highlight the command that you want to rerun, and you're gonna just click console. But of course now it's not gonna work because you know what new import is. I have not created anything yet. So here you've got several windows. Help is basically where you read the page if you need to read more about the command and the input it takes, that the command takes. There are some examples as well. Just basically all functions that you've been using, all of the commands are found inside the libraries. And some libraries are built in, some not. And you're going to learn how to install a package. Sure. So here basically are built in, and subsections are the ones that I ended up installing because I had to run a method or I had to run a command that's not part of the standard installation. All right. So I'm going to go back as I use the concept of the working directory. So basically, whenever I'm trying to open a file or when I'm trying to save the file, RStudio start looking from the directory that by default in folder. What I could do is I could change it. So the way it is, you can type the command as you're gonna see it in a view. Or what you could also do is you can go here, set directory, choose it right here. I do, and then perhaps I want to set my working directory to the folder where I have my data right here, and I go back to folder. Now what happens here? Runs this command for me. RStudio ran this command. The command is executing. You see a little stop sign in here. Notice that right here, it's my current working directory. You're gonna see it right here. On the files in the working directory, you type this command. Oops, yes. Oh, error. Okay, sure. This gives me the list of files that I currently have in my directory. dir. Import the file. This week's assignment, you were using the data set that came with installation, with RStudio installation. But for the week assignment, you're going to use a data set that's not RStudio installation. So what we can do is we can import data from CSV file. We can add a command to do that. I'm going to show you a little bit simpler way to do this. Either tools, import from text file. Again, import data set from text file. So that it's in folder. We wanted this to be set. I set it as a working directory. So I want to import the data set working directory, a folder where it's gonna will open, so to speak. So now I'm going to import this data set. Import 85. I'm gonna and up the import data set window. Here, name. In name of called the data frame. So object where my data will be loaded. So I delete the 85 part. I want to keep my name simple. What heading means is that notice that here this input file format. This is a CSV. Here view what data is going to look like when imported. Now here are my variable names, and I set the heading equals yes. I want to keep my variable names as is. Stroke, I want to keep it as is. So row names I'm going to keep automatic. I'm going to freighter as comma, because if you notice here my values are limited by comma. This is important. And missing value. With my variable have a value for the row. And missing value is an. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit import. Now, what commands that are run on my right? Import is a variable assignment operator in R. So and dash element operator. Read.csv is a key used to read the file. For the pass, or the absolute pass, you specify the relative pass. Here command with import. Support is the name of my. I just called it import. We open my file in review. So here variables, remember, and every data row, okay, is a data row corresponds to the specific record. Variables, they describe the car. Each is a symbol in which is actually the risk level, car fuel type, okay, of doors, and so on. Environment. Notice it was empty before. So right, it shows me that I have a new object called Port has 205 observations, which is the number of rows, and variables. So here I have the number of rows and then columns, right? Expand this, just structure R, we have different variable types. Variables are numeric. Numeric variable is a continuous variable. For example, length, define set of values. That is a real number, right? It can be real number. It can be just a integer. There is explicitly the minimum value, there is no explicitly maximum value, right? The maximum value, but the number of values in between is unknown. With a set of predefined values, and we have numbers, it can be 2, it can be 4. This is called a factor. Variable is a categorical variable, where number of valid values is predefined. For example, number of doors, 2 or 4, right? So it's right here. Factor means are the valid values of the variable. For instance, aspiration, standard, those are called levels, values. Now, notice that what is this one? It means the first data row has the first value, std. It means it'll be a little bit confusing when you look at it first, but it's gonna make sense. So it means that number of doors, the 3 cars have 2 doors, right? Because it's the second value right here. The next cars have 4 doors, and it's right. And we'll even look here and compare as well. Number 8. Yes, you can go ahead, you can compare it. So now remember this. Numeric, factor, and we have strings. But in this case, I say to treat strings as factors. You may or may not remember there was a checkbox with data, and when it asked me if I want to treat my string as just as a string variable or as a factor. In this case, I wanted factor because there are only a few values. But if a variable is name perhaps or name, then I want to uncheck the checkbox. So what I'm going to do is, you've seen some of the commands in the assignment. Let's worry. Command is going to give me the descriptive statistics. So type summary, and here, as you notice that it gives me a little type ahead thing. I'm not interested in anything, I just want summary. And I type imports, which is my dataset name. So it happens here. My variables, and for each variable shows me the descriptive statistics. Now that here symbol n was a problem. I'm going to explain to you because the one should be from 2 to 3. That's a car risk level. Somehow you here was as numeric instead of factor. I'm going to convert it shortly. Variable is numeric. It's showing me the statistics are minimum, quartile, median, mean, quartile, maximum. What is this? Is the number of missing values. Important. So one way to find out how many missing values my variable has is from the summary command. Show me here the number of missing values. So make, yes, I have some missing values, but it's going to treat them as other, which is fine. I'll use that. So it's going to show you fuel type, shows you the different values of the fuel type and the number of observations that each value. So this variable we have mean, maximum, median, mean, fourth quartile, third quartile. For variable we have the values that the variable may have and of observation that each value. stands for the missing value, which means the value is just not there. There's nothing in there, right? Now, suppose that I have columns, and I'm interested to know the statistics for just one. I don't need to know all of them. What I have is just to read through the whole list. But if I have a 200 perhaps, or 500, I want to read through the whole list? Probably not. So you could also do is, you can do the summary, emphasis, your parameter, and the parameter is going to be the variable I'm interested in, rather. So to do that, I'm going to type my dataset name in. See this, I can just go ahead and select right here. Specify one variable. That's a syntax. I put the $sign. As I type, it's a set of options right here. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to, for instance, I want the field type. And so that gives me the value and the number of data rows that has each value. So what I also do is I pick a numeric data type. So, to save myself time typing, I can hit the upper arrow. The upper arrow is to show me the one that I typed the last. Just the upper arrow key. Navigate through the history using the upper arrow key and lower arrow key. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is, it saves me time typing. I go in, I'm gonna put the $sign right here, and I'm going to select link. So they're gonna hit enter. Okay, so here's my statistic just for this variable. Now let me show you what's in here, why missing values are a problem. Okay, some numeric variable here has missing values. Or pick this, right? PM, or I can pick the horsepower. Let's pick horsepower. Now, suppose that I want to display just one statistic. I only in, right? I in parentheses, I'm going to put my set name, which is import. Now put the $sign. I'm going to enter my variable horsepower. Right. Now I'm going to show you there's going to be a problem because I have two values. C and A. It calculates the mean because here are two missing values. So we have two options here. We replace the missing values with the real mean. We can remove the data rows that have missing values, or the second parameter to the mean function. We tell the function to ignore the rows that have missing values. Just take a look. So if I don't remember my syntax, I'm just going to type the question mark and I'm going to type mean. What I'll do is show me the help page for this command. Now see this? And .rm. That tells me if I want to ignore the values. By default is false. I'm set it to true. So what I'm doing is I'm going to hit the upper arrow twice because I want to reuse this command, and I'm going to enter comma, and I put my here, and that RM is true. So it's important. There, I got my min. Right? So basically what I did here is I said to just ignore my missing values and with the min. So it works a little bit different. The default is already set to true. Right, different. Now, another thing I wanted to show you guys that true is same as T. Say this. Keep working on assignments. You have comments, and the comments might be getting a little bit more tricky. And comments follow in a sequence. Follow the sequence. So what you do is you could save commands in file. The file is gonna have .r extension. So here is file. You got a new file, RScript. So run the command successfully. You can paste it to the file, or you can do this. You can go to the history and, for instance, do this. And I go to the source. And you can just save your file, and you can save it, or save it as anything. I just say practice. It's gonna save my file. And then when you log in to do the homework assignment, you can do this file open. And you put your cursor here. After it will rerun the command. Some commands follow the sequence. And the command working, right? So you just rerun. Stick to where you had when you stopped. Right? And you might not be able to complete in one session. So it works for an hour. You want to save that working and come back. Close the RStudio, right? If you close the RStudio, when you come back, if you reopen the RStudio, you open the file, the command that you saved, and you're gonna rerun it. So here I saved. So I'm going to pause that file for you guys. So I'm going to go here, file, and notice that by default, it goes to the folder that I set as a working directory, but I saved it in the desktop. To R extension, it means it's a R script. Oh, so here basically is a command to read my file. We just did it. I'm gonna show you another way to do the summary. Remember, when I run this, it's a summary, right? It means a summary. A like command, basically, it's a little bit more advanced, but what it does is it runs a function on every variable or specified data. So what this is going to do is it's going to run summary command on every single variable in my dataset. It's similar to what I have here, but output is going to look a little bit different. So here I just put my cursor here and I hit run. And then I say this file is to save some time typing so I can focus on show things work here. Run. There. So in R there is more than one way to do something. Right? So it's the same thing, right? Output, but it's a little bit different layout and differently. Because what it's gonna do is it's gonna loop through all variables that I have and it applies a summary. It does think too that running the summary command one variable at a time is just a shortcut. Now, what it also do is suppose that I want to find out how many rows and how many variables I have. What to do is go here, environment, there, or also do dimension command. I am. Okay. Now, another thing to point out, this is a comment. Non-executable line of code. It describes what this line does. I wrote it to ensure that it's clear and that everybody can follow, so to speak. Now, as you may or may not remember from this week lecture, what's happening is that, okay, we're going to display, look at the dimensions. What is this? This output is basically so like a vector, and it contains two elements, 205 and 6. Right? So 205 is the number of rows, and this is the number of columns. If I display only the number of rows, I have several ways to do this. I can run this command right here, run, or I can also run this. Then import only the first. I want only the first one. So more than one way to do the task. Now display the number of columns. You can type n columns to this and take the second one. Or command. Let's display the number of variables. There we go. Another important command of my variables. What I do is I just type names. Run. So here it's going to show me my variables, and I just put them all in quotes. Here it shows the properties of data frame. Oops, I should run. Okay, it's like this. Oh, so here this output is called a list. It's showing me a button, so to speak. This output, this command has several elements. It's showing me variable names. He's showing me that this is a data frame. So the frame is an object that contains a column where is a variable, and it contains a set of rows where each row is a specific record. And the row names, we name them. This is just gonna be just by default row. So data frame is an object. It's a set, right? Okay. The class, well, class, he cannot expand this. It's class basically showing me the data type. Class showing me the data type of a variable. So data frame, right? For variable can be an integer or it can be data frame. This is just one element, but that was a good question. I expand the data frame. All you do is you can do the view command, which is right here. Right, preview. Now notice that it says it's showing me the first 9 rows and 205 rows total. This is so basically a data preview. It's called the data frame. We have my column. Each column is a variable. Right, data row is a specific instance of the terms used interchangeably. Instance, observation, the row, they all mean the same thing. So this is a data frame. Set of columns, set of rows. And A stands for the missing value. Misses are a problem, right? They're a problem. And as you saw, I was trying to calculate the column mean, and the value was not, because in value I was not getting anything helpful. It was returning me an A, which didn't help me much. I did here, I said that ignore the missing values, and RM equals true. Just calculated this 26 variables, right? 26 columns. 26 columns, 5 rows in frame. Right here, it just showing me dimensions. It does not show me what the data is. It just showing me the size. The end is the size. That my frame has 205 rows, 26 columns. I hope I answered the question. Let me know if I did not. Of the size. But data, you can run view command, or you also do the head command. Now head is by default. It's going to show me the 6 rows. There you go. Well, if it does not fit on a page, it's going to wrap. Only the first 6 rows. Add number of rows. It's a parameter. The reason I ask you guys to is help pages for the head command is so that you guys familiar with how to use the help pages, because it's going to be your lifesaver, so to speak, right? You can look up what command does and look up the examples and so on. So suppose that I want to see one, so I'm just going to put imports, which is the name of my data frame that I just created, and I'm going to put 1. It's just 1 row. To keep in mind that RStudio is case sensitive. So I put something like this, what I mean. It's gonna hit are not found. And the reason is I never created the object with uppercase, with I in the uppercase. R is sensitive, right? I'm going for a second and see if it's okay. That's recording very good. I'm going to share again. I wanted to double check that the presentation is recording. I'm going to share my screen again. Oh, good. Now let me show you more use commands. You can delete the last 6 rows. That's going to be tail, and I'm going to put my data frame name. And specify here, if I don't specify the number of rows, it will show me 6 rows. But if I specify the number of rows, it's going to show me whatever I specify. I'm going to go back now to this intro bar created. Now, take the subset, right? The way we take the subset is there are 2 elements, right, in the brackets. We specify the number of rows and number of columns that we are interested in. So, for example, if I do this, imports, and this, okay. If I'm going to say, for instance, 2 means, and if I say like this, it's going to be, it's going to hit here, it picked the second element row. Yeah. So they have the row and specifies a column. So it's going to be the second row, the third element rather. So is a column number. And is number. But what so the first 5 rows, I just type imports, and I'm going to type that notation. I put 1. Suppose that I still want to display the third variable, so I'll just put like this. There we go. That's showing me, this one is showing me the cars that I have and put them in a row because it's one variable here. We want to select all variables. I'm going to do this. I'll leave this blank. If I blank, it's going to show me, it's going to select all variables there. So the element is the number of rows, right? And an element is the number of columns. What I also do is I can select the first 5 columns, 1, 5, right? There. But I'm interested in specific columns. See, this is a list. C creates a list. So here, what I did here, I created a new variable, new import. Write my new variable, the assignment operator, the data frame name, blank, and comma. This that I want to pick up all rows. It creates a list. So I'm creating the list of columns that I need. And I specify the column names in quotes. Give the price and amount. So this is very important. This is a list. It creates a list. Right? So for something like this, see, if I put 1, 2, it's this list, 1 and 2. So basically, it picked up it and a make. So what I also do is I could just do head, and I'm gonna preview new import. I'll just preview this happens like this. See the price and pick up the make. Exactly what I wanted. See, the thing is here, I'm not saying 5 columns, the first 5 columns. The columns might necessarily be adjacent. Specifies a list of columns that I want to display. Like this, creates a list. This is very important. Right? So I'm creating new data frame. Assign operator. The name means all rows. C create list. And here the list of columns that I want to pick up. Alright. Let's scroll down. Okay. We already went over this, but I'm gonna repeat it. Commits are a problem. So let's ignore it. Alright. Is there any sorting? We can do the sorting. We'll do it. It's in there. Okay. Now, basically, what I do is I find out the troublemaker rows. So here, basically, is NA is going to it's checking if the missing, right? And if the value is missing, and to display the data rows where the value is missing. So I just click this. Run. So this means the rows where the value of the horsepower is missing. I just want to know which rows are the culprits. So showing me this. Right at this. Here is the condition. I have rows that meet the condition. It means I want to select all columns. Right? So A means missing. Right? So what we also can do is remove values. And there are two ways to do this. I'm going to create a new variable called new import, right? Because I want to override my import. If I make a mistake, I will have to load this all over again. Now, the complete cases. Cases means pick up the rows that don't have any missing values. Cases will pick up the rows that don't have any missing values for any variable. I'm gonna run it. Or this is another option too. I say an A omit, and means the rows that have missing values. And this will be, you will see it will be revisited in week 2. Right? This is another way. This number of cases with missing values, with at least one missing value. Here, this is a nested function basically. So here, this piece right here is pick up the rows that have value, because here I'm specifying the condition. Exclamation point means not. Cases here means this piece right here will pick up the rows that do not have any missing values. Right? This will pick up all rows that do not have missing values. But here, exclamation point means insert. So end rows, do you remember end rows? For earlier example, rows is a number of rows. So rows here take this as an input. You can the commands. Option. My other option was to create a variable at this variable and then enroll on that variable. I can do that, but the problem is if I create another variable, I'm taking the space in the memory. So I want to do this, right? We see some of you wanted to do the sorting. There we go. Now here I'm going to create another object, right? And call it import.sorted. I'm allowed to have a dot in a variable name. And here, what I'm saying here is that I'm going to take my data call import all data rows, because remember in the brackets specify the data rows that I want to pick up and columns. If this is omitted, I'm going to pick up all columns. And here is going to set this ascending. By default, this order is ascending. So in here, I'm going to pick up all the rows by the price. Takes the sort as an input. There could be one sorting column, or there could be two, or there could be three, as this. So base here is a sort by. Right? If I don't specify anything else, it's going to send in picking up all columns and creating the data frame, and I'm calling it import.sorted. And it's the operator. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna run this now. There we go. Now do is how do I know that it was in fact sorted? It shows me the first 5 values in order. I want to sort it descending. So to do it, first is I specify my parameter descent equals true, but descent is false. I want to set this up to is true, and right here. So how do I know? See, that command is really handy. So this while I ask you to check the help page for the head command, because you're gonna love this command. it's a new preview to make sure that what it to do is, in fact, what you want it to do, right? So another way is order and then put a minus sign. The sign means that I want to sort this by column, this sign, and don't have anything after comma. Is that I want to grab all of them. I want to grab all of them around here. There we go. Now I'm going to preview again. Send is our friend here, right? So I'm going to descending. See, sorted descending. Now I'm going to do is I can sort at variables. What's in here? Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and put here. There we go. We're going descending, but here per column, and so we have two rows with the same miles per gallon. It's going to sort by price within miles per gallon. I'm sorting by two columns, and I'm doing it descending because I have the minus sign in here, right? So let's find out. Run and run our right here. Import. So you look at this. If out the price and miles per gallon, I have 38, and we'll start in descending. Yeah. So here by two columns, and you can control. You can delete the minus sign to sort it. To sort ascending. Like this. You can run. Basically, you have control here. You can control the sort order. Yeah, I need to change in my script. I want to use this. Now, let's see if I skipped anything. So it is a mission value. That also what you're gonna do in the lessons that come in this week, I'm gonna do some data pre-processing because you may remember some variables are numeric and some are factor. Problem is since data mining method that does not work for numeric variables. So what you need to do is you would need to run the function to get the numeric into to numeric variables into categorical. Like example would be the grades. 9 through 100 is an A, 80 through 89 is a B. So basically I'm doing the bins. I'm the values into bin. But this JSON function does not come with RStudio installation. So you would need to run the command to install packages. To install the package, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to type it in, but I'm not going to run it because I already have it installed. But you're going to run this install packages, and it's going to be in a handout for this week. The rules. And you install another package called discretization. Alright, do that. And very important, when you do this, you're going to be prompted. Install it to your local drive. Just select yes. You're going to be prompted. When you install the package for the first time, right, the first package that you install, you're going to be prompted. Just select yes if it happens. I have some user library. This is installation. On something that's not part of the installation, you will install it, right? And also you need to load it into memory. It's done once. If you use the same laptop, you're doing it once. You have to load it into memory when you open the RStudio. So one way to load it into memory is just find what you want to load, and it works. It's a now to the warning, that's fine. Well, actually what's going on is there is some dependencies. A rules depends on something else, and it just gets loaded for you. You could also do here, it will open a help page for this package, and it describes all in this package, and you see this in week 2 and 3. In fact, you're gonna see it in week 3, but we're just gonna do the discretize here and show us, it's gonna show us what this method does. And it will divide the continuous values into bins. What I'm going to do here is that I'm going to pick up some like week, right? And I'll do here, I'm going to type RIS. I'm going to type data frame name, which is import, right? And do this. I'm going to type the dollar sign, and I'm going to type my variable name, which is do length, right? And you can see this. You have equal interval, equal frequency, right? What we'll do is equal interval. I want to divide this into bins of the equal size. The bins we're going to have equal size. Frequency is that means I want to divide this into ranges, and I want to have approximately the same number of instances the value in each range. I'm going to just pick something. I'm going to pick interval. Now I have to specify the number of intervals. By the way, I have to set, I have to do this, I need to operator, because if I don't do this, if I just leave it like this, look what this does. This output to the screen is what I wanted at the moment, but what it does is it's showing me that values will be divided into this set of intervals. And the curly bracket means that 154 is not included. It means that the boundary value is included. Right? Well, here, instead of having the actual value, it's good to the range. Right? So we don't care about the exact measure. What we care is that if it's between 141 and 154, or is between 154 inclusive and 168 exclusive, so here it's into the range. But to the screen, what I want to actually assign it. But let's do the okay now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this new import to override. See this here? I don't want to override my in data frame. So what I'll do is new import. I'm doing this not as a this is assignment operator. I'm gonna set it to import. Right? Do is it created the new variables. Is this 200 of observations, 26 variables. So now length is a numeric. We get that. And we're gonna change it now. See this? Do you remember this? I just did. I hit the upper arrow, and it also to pull the command from the history. New import, Right? So what this will do is it's going to divide the values into the 5 ranges. And I selected the option interval. Interval means that I want the ranges to be the same. It doesn't matter how many values fall in each range. I want the equal values. Like this, the width of the interval is approximately the same. So basically, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to 1 second. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now, guys, is I'm going to set. Now remember my assignment operator. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this part right here. I'm gonna my cursor here. I'm gonna say this new imports, new and I'm gonna say this and put variable name length. Do this like this. So what it's gonna do is it's going to set the values to the ranges. I'm changing the values of my length variable to the categorical. So now, if I do the summary command, right here, summary, I do summary command, and now what I want to do is I'm gonna run this. All right, I can go C, Control V. It shows me the value ranges and number of instances that fall within each range. So now that see problem. So here I have 93, 43, I have 11. Right? With several options, we can do the equivalency and do the interval. We can do equal frequency, or we can specify our own boundaries. And this is going to be, all of this is going to be in a handout that you receive for the next week. So what will happen next week is that you're going to do an exercise. The data set is going to be similar. It's going to be called cars. You're going to do the exercise in a handout on the car data. Then you're going to do the graded part. And graded part is going to be on the credit approval data. Right? And the second part will be graded. And the first part is just to get familiar with commands. Right? What was the question? I did not. Yeah, go
I'd given this discrete
right.
And there's 141 to 154, and the interval of 5. How is it that 6?
1, 2, 3, 5. There are values. These cars. The number of cars between 146 and 154. Statistics. Summary command.
What does discretize do? Does it not break it to intervals of 5?
It broke the voice into 5 intervals. So these are my intervals. My voice into 5 intervals. Validate if it did what I wanted to do. I just recommend. Summary command. What it does is it displays the number of values in range. Like if I run this, and if I do this on, if for instance on If I do this, make, right? What do? Well, make values, right? Cars that make value. So, this value, this value, this value, and this is a value, and this is a value, right? And it should be the number of cars that lands between 141 and 154. Here is the number of cars that lands between 154 and 168. Here it shows.
Yeah. I got you got in 5 values for that, but from 141 to 154, difference is 8, right? It's 12. So the level between those values, 154 and 168, it is 10.
Well, this is the number of cars. This is the number of cars here. Like this.
I got what it is. What I'm saying is the difference between 154 and 141, and the difference between 168 and 154.
It's approximately. It's approximately equal. Approximately.
Oh, is it?
No, it's not exact. Excellent question. It's approximately. And also because 154 is excluded.
Yes. And
yeah.
Right. Because that is 7 in the very first one, and the second. So, and the second one, it is 8 plus 6, which is more, and the last one, it's 8 plus 5, which is 13.
Yeah, it's approximately. Because do this, what is new import?
The only thing I ask that is.
Yes. I'm glad. This is an excellent question. This is excellent question. Approximately equal. Approximately. Okay. Let's do this quick here. I'm gonna say frequency, right? Frequency. I guess it's not perfect. It has to do with the implementation of this. And now I'm gonna do the summary. So this is to try to do approximately equal frequency. This I should say approximately equal. Excellent. These are excellent questions, guys. I love questions. Welcome. I call customer service, so I have questions. Yeah, excellent. It's not equal, but we would say approximately equal, right? So it attempts to approximately equal. It doesn't matter how many values are in each range, right? And approximately equal number, because you can compare. Here I've got 93, here I've got 42. Right? So there are some differences here. And you're gonna love this because it gives examples, right? So complex, but don't worry about this for now. You're gonna get there. What you guys did, you did the plot, right, for this week, and you did the histogram. Yeah, but another thing is, yes, this is a good question, but see, this is a little bit confusing. You do something more meaningful. We can run this command right here. What I'm doing is I'm running the frequency method, I'm dividing the price, 5 intervals, but I don't want to see the value ranges I want to put the labels. I want the first value range cheapest. I want to call the next one cheap. Of expensive, most expensive. What I want to do is, I don't want to see these ranges like this. I add the, now here, C creates a list, right? Summary, ports. Imports, and dollar sign. I'm gonna say the price. See that? That picks it up. So this, in this case, it's equal, so we're lucky, right? So you're gonna see something missing values. You're gonna replace values with the mean, right? This is a sorting in the next assignment. What I'm doing is selecting, I'm creating a new data frame here. It's data frame here. What is this piece? What it's doing is taking the horsepower from new import 3, and it's gonna pick up the rows where the one is missing, and replace with the mean column. But the problem is, do you remember when we ran the mean? Well, because mean values are a problem when you run the mean. So you need to take the mean and ignore the missing values. So this piece, if I just run this piece right here, Ctrl C, and I'm gonna do this, Ctrl V. This gives me the mean average, an average horsepower right here. So is, I want, if my horsepower is not specified, I'll set it with a column mean. So one way to handle missing values, no right, no wrong answer. Suppose that, for instance, if half of my observation is missing the value in a column, I go ahead and remove the column. Right? What I could also do is, I would just if only few values, if only few instances are missing the value, I can just replace with the mean. If the value is, if the variable is numeric, if the is categorical, I can create another value, well, other, for instance, right? No, neither. What I also do is, sometimes you can remove the whole observation, right? Like we did in there. Add omit. But the problem is, we end up losing data, depending on the number of rows that have missing values. Well, if you want to remove, if you have a data row where almost every value is missing, answer as long as you explain it. So now that there is more than one way to approach the same problem. So interface here, we cover the history. Right, and what this broom will do, broom will remove everything from the history. Remove one command from the history, you just select that command and click this X. Basically, and I just save command in a file. Because, for instance, when I get back to it, I want to rerun this. If you notice here, this right here has a set of values. It has values, but for some reason it got loaded as a numeric, which is for some data mining methods that don't with a factor variable, but you need defining methods such as a priori rules that we're going to do in week 3. If it does not work for numeric variables, you would usually want to discretize, but discretization is not good for this variable because you have fixed set. So the command called factor, let's see what it does. Factor is takes a variable is an input and convert it to factor. It's going to this factor is checking the data type. It's checking if the variable is a factor. Like this dot factor. And I'm gonna do this. This is not a factor, right? So I can do the conversion. Convert this. So new import. I'm gonna set this. I'm gonna say this symbol in, right? And I want this to factor is this symbol. Oops. Control E. What it does. There. So change to the factor. And the reason I'm not using discretization here because I have a set of predefined variables. I don't want to values rather. I don't want to pick level 1.5. I want it to be the whole number. So again, on the method you're running, right? Yeah. Questions we have? They wanted to ask me questions. I hope I didn't overwhelm you, but a lot of this you'll see it again in a week. And what I want you guys to do is, if you notice under the course content, we have RStudio resources by topic. So I'd like you guys to go through as many videos as you can, because it's a good set of examples, and when you hit, you will repetition. Can the data set from database? But we're not gonna do it in this class. But in general, you can also import a set from the web page. You see it as an optional at some point. But there is an R project that sounds more popular, and there is an R Hadoop. There are advanced technologies. But we're not going to do it in this class since it's an introductory course. But this class, you're going to be doing the files. I have more questions. I like questions, guys. We have different data types, right? Here in the next week. Different statistics depending on the data type. Recommend provide the statistics. Also do is you can do the visualization, right? We can histograms for the is for the continuous variables like numeric, right? You can charts and on different types of plots. You're gonna see it in the week 2. Like the dot chart, you'll see it. If you're not sure what the command does, you just type this. plot, and this is different plot types. Example, this coming week. I just show you some examples as well. Yeah. So helpful.
Yeah.
It was helpful.
Have a recording. Helpful. Oh, I'm going to say if there are no questions, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to say, guys, I hope you all have a weekend. Right?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.